What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a great Thursday. Bobby Fi here. Sheets is going to be out. He's at the live final, so good luck to Sheets. Hopefully, he takes it home for us. Team TrueDFS, we could use another millionaire winner this year. So hopefully, he gets it, guys. I was talking earlier with some of the stuff. We've got to work on some of the ways the site is laid out, but I really feel like as far as offerings go, since the Pater DFS since we partnered with them as well as SaberSim. And then you have all of our content explaining exactly what, I show my exact exposures every day, every single thing that I do, you guys have access to. I go into the premium, we talk about everything there. We also have an awesome premium Discord, but we're just charging a fraction more than SaberSim. And I think we're really worth a look if you're looking for something for the upcoming baseball season. We've all done extremely well, and we would love to share that with you. And I think we've got a great little community that hopefully you guys would take a look at being a part of. All of that said, about tonight, I am not playing tonight. I can still talk through this slate, but I am going to. I was going to play, so I'm going to share my screen with the information that I had, because if I can't late swap, this is the thing I tell everybody about NBA. If you can't late swap, don't bother playing. You have no hope. You could get there once in a while, but there's no way you're going to be a profitable player without that. And with the Lakers, I don't even know who they're going to end up starting or what's going to end up happening tonight. So there's just a lot of stuff, and so that's the way I treat basketball. If baseball, different story. Although I still think it's optimal to late swap, I don't think it's as much of a necessity to be competitive. But I really want to say that you have no chance to win at all in the long run if you're not late swapping in NBA. It's almost, I mean, maybe if you get a 7 Eastern and an 8 Eastern slate, but this time of year especially. So I'm not playing at all. I'm not touching anything. We're going to go through my stuff. Good to see my man K9 in the chat. And again, give us a look. I think we really have, in terms of what we're offering, as we do have a trial package available as well. But I really feel like with the SaberSim Ultimate, with the Pater DFS, all the tools and projections and everything, with Sheets and Goldie's projections, with all of my content, Brandon Cruz for NASCAR, Rhodey, I'm forgetting Adam Perry for NHL. There's a lot of people we got, and a lot of really, really cool offerings. So hopefully you guys will take a look. Do I change my project? So Jay's asking a question right off the bat. Do you change your projections after lock during the late swap process or just before lock? I don't know who you're asking that question to. I don't make my own projections. I adjust projections to get more of what I want in NBA. I don't min max, but Goldie goes all the way through. Now Goldie is going to be gone for a couple days, and Sheets is at the live final right now, but everything's updated. I would say NBA is the only sport I don't use Goldie and Sheets projections for. I trust them wholeheartedly. And I think that those projections are as good as any in the industry. Goldie does it up to, before each slate locks, but he's going to be gone for a few days. So can't promise that it's going to be perfect today and tomorrow, as well as Monday and through the weekend, but he'll be back Tuesday. So every projection changes after lock. So yeah, every projection is going to change. You don't change them. It's just, I mean, if you have the SaberSim package, it's going to change for you. So talking about what I actually would do tonight, it's a totally different slate than it was this morning, obviously, with all the injuries and whatnot. All right, I don't see the need to get this much Cameron Payne. That's what it was giving me. Let me rebuild this and make sure this is right. It seems like way too much. Let me rebuild and just run the Sims, just using the SaberSim part of this. Good to see you, Justin. And let's see what we got here. It's one of the, I mean, look, every slate is going to be a little bit of a shit show going forward. It's just the way that the end of the NBA season is right now. We have to accept it. The cool thing is in the playoffs, it's a little more predictable, and we get information earlier, as well as we can speculate on coaching subs and different ideas of what they might do in a different game. And you can take huge advantage of that, which is so fun. I love the NBA playoff DFS when there's multiple games. When it's one game, it's really tricky, but still fun. And certainly I've won plenty of those, so I can't complain too much. But I prefer when there's like 3 or 4 games, you're really having some fun trying to speculate on how teams are going to adjust from game to game. I love starting day 2 of the first round is like my favorite thing. I'll play the other ones. Again, I'm not playing any of these contests. This is what I entered earlier. It was gonna be 40 in the $15, 20 in the $4, and then the rest, 555, 255s, 111 satellite, 200 splash. So that's sort of what it's accounting for. And it will, if you haven't used this stuff before, it will program it into the most appropriate contest for it. But again, I'm not changing anything right now. Let me just make sure I get Luca's projection off because I think I bumped him up earlier. It doesn't matter. We're gonna have 0 of them anyway. Austin Reeves, let me say something. I don't even know what to do with the Lakers tonight. They should get trampled, but we've seen teams step up. It's just I think you're gonna have to have Jordan Goodwin in basically every lineup. Anyway, I'll get into that in just a minute. So let me just run the sims and see what it comes up with. I did. Let me apply. I don't know. Nothing's different. All right. So starting with the first game, I think that Towns is a strong play. It is a back-to-back. McBride is now questionable. If he's out, then we do play campaign. I also have a little bit of interest in Hart and Bridges. It's just hard on this slate because you're going to be so Lakers and Indiana heavy, I think, that it's hard for me to love so much, except for what about playing LaMelo with Cat? That's something that I think makes some sense. I really like Bridges tonight. LaMelo or Bridges with Cat on the other side. I think that's probably the best way to go. But those are the main pieces I'd be getting. I would certainly not be looking at any spend downs unless we lose McBride, and in which case we would play campaign along with Goodwin. And this is one of the few slates where I'm not saying you should try to leave money on the table, but you might actually be okay leaving money on the table. Not especially interested in anything from Brooklyn myself. I think this is an over projection by SaberSim. I actually lowered the number and still getting to some of it. I think it's too high of a projection on D'Angelo Russell as a median. I'm not saying he can't get there, but it is too high of a median. He would be my favorite of the plays. But actually, you know what? My favorite of the plays would be Claxton or Day'Ron Sharpe. I just don't know if we need to do the Day'Ron Sharpe thing off the bench. But maybe Claxton would be an interesting guy you could consider. I do love Matherin. Obviously, we have no Halliburton. I also think that, look, TJ McConnell's minutes have been a little bit limited. They've let other guys play. I think we could take a shot on him. He's a super low-owned play that I think you could gamble on. I also really like Siakam. So forget what this is what it's giving me. I would be heavier on this game. I would be heavier on Siakam, especially Matherin and Nembhard would be the main pieces for me from the 7 Eastern games. This is why I can't play tonight because these later games are where you're going to want a lot of stuff. I don't really have a ton of interest in the Toronto side. I think Scotty Barnes, because we have plenty of money, is fine, and I think Quickly is fine, but not priority type of pieces. On the Golden State side, I prefer playing Curry on small slates. Like I said, we have money, so I think we can afford him. Totally good with Curry. A little bit interested in Jimmy Butler as a low-owned pivot, but it's really just because of the ownership. Chicago. I kind of like Vooch maybe more than the field. I think there's a reasonable chance that Giddey sits. If Giddey sits, obviously Vooch is a strong play. I think there are some good center spend-ups tonight. And I think Vooch on the back-to-back is not as exciting. It's a little worrisome. But obviously, we need some clarity as to who's exactly available for Chicago before we make any final decisions, and you won't have that till 10 Eastern. Sacramento, I think you're gonna. I would actually like Levine is supposed to play today. I would actually take a gamble on one of Levine, Monk, or Joval would be. I throw DeRozan in the mix. I think I kind of am interested in Levine just because of the ownership so low. And it's the kind of matchup against his former team. I think Levine is the one I would go with. So spend ups for me like Cat, LaMelo, Bridges, Levine, Siakam, Curry. Those are the guys I'd be looking at mostly for the spend all the way ups, in addition to the obvious ones we're going to get to, which it's going to be hard to justify not playing Giannis. You could call it a blowout, but I think Giannis, you get a little Kuzma revenge in there as well. No problem with that. But I think Giannis is a very, very strong play. And it's really hard to why we're just doing it for game theory reasons, not to play him. If you wanted to go a little lower ownership, I think playing Lillard, but I would probably have Giannis or Lillard in most of my lineups were I playing tonight. On the Lakers side, I think that you got to have at least, I don't know how you don't play Jordan Goodwin in every lineup. If you don't, you should have at least one of Gordon and Milton. And I think that you should probably have them both together mostly. I would probably set, especially because it's the last game, I would probably set a rule to have go minimum 3 Lakers. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do that. And just I don't see how they get how anything else works. Even LeBron. This might be the first time Bronny James actually almost projected as a play. It's pretty wild to see. But look, depending on who they start, again, I'm not going to be able to late swap, so this is where I'm at. I think that you're looking, Goodwin, Milton are near lock buttons for me. Connect just barely above them, but he's one I wouldn't have him in every lineup. If Morris starts, sure. I also like Jackson Hayes a little bit. Again, he's going to play some minutes as long as the game's competitive. So I would be probably overexposed to all these guys where I'm playing tonight. And if you wanted to take just a shot at somebody, I think Koloko or Reddish, you could throw Len into the mix, would be the guys I would probably have the most interest in. But I would have minimum 3 Lakers. My favorite spend ups being I love the Cat play. I like Bridges better than I do LaMelo, but it's close. I like both of them. I like Siakam a lot as a spend up, and Nembhard, and I'm sorry, Mathurin, and then Nembhard in the mid range. And then I like Curry. And then I am interested a little bit in the low owned Levine as well as Giannis. So that those 6 spend ups, with all the Laker value and the Indy value, I think is sort of the way that I would be playing this slate. I think you get a little creative with guys like, Vucevic, depending on what happens with Giddey. I think Kobe White is another guy you get creative with. It's a good matchup for him. So I think that you could like bump him up a little bit. But I would probably look to try to get different in some of these guys. And Siakam's not going to have crazy ownership. Bridges is not going to have crazy ownership. And Cat will have pretty high ownership. But I think those would be the ones I like the most. All right. Any questions or thoughts? Because I don't have a whole lot to go through. Like I'm not playing tonight. So I guess I'll talk about FanDuel real quick. We'll just run Saber Sims, quick sim here. Let's rebuild, and then we'll run the sim and see where we're at. Yeah, it's really hard to avoid the Lakers. You take away the 3 massive usage, everything, guys. What's the spread gone to in that game? Let me just see really quick. Let me just see. We are gonna wait. I'm gonna look at the wrong thing. Why isn't that telling me? Oh, it's not updated. That's why. Lakers are only 7.5 point underdogs. I mean, we've seen teams rally in these situations. I don't know, man. I don't know. Kind of surprised with the blowout that they didn't run it back and at least make it a competitive lineup tonight. Weird. No, I don't. I don't think there's. I mean, sure, you can play Zaire, but I don't think there's any reason to. Low ownership. That's something. I prefer Mathurin, but he's fine. I don't think it's especially this is on FanDuel. Yeah, I mean it's fine. It's there's nothing exciting about it. I definitely wouldn't go out of my way to change anything, but no, I don't particularly like him given the nature of the slate. You just have so many better plays in his range than him, and there's upside for him. So sure, look, if you want to take a shot, I have no issue with it. He would be one of the guys I would just take what they gave me. I'm not going to make a strong stance one way or another on him. So this is just one lineup in the Monster and 100 in the lottery. But again, it's not going to matter because I'm not playing anyway. But this is what Saber Sim's given us right now. We'll go to exposures and just take a quick look through it. Right. Let me just I have to write something in our NBA channel. Live now. All right. Let's see. All right. So we ran the Sims. They're getting 100% connect, 99% Goodwin. Okay, sure. Both of them are. It's 92% Giannis, then Shake Milton, then Gabe Vincent. Yeah, there's just too much to make up for. And then the Nembhard and Siakam. So it's not really giving you a whole lot of get unique plays here. These are going to be all very highly owned, and looks like taking a little bit of a shot in Scotty Barnes. I mentioned that as one of the lower owned plays I think you could take a gamble on. We'll see about where campaign ends up about once we get the McBride news. Yeah, it's a pretty ugly slate, and you're going to be really speculative, especially on DraftKings with the Lakers stuff. But I would just make sure you have a minimum of three Lakers set, and then you can adjust and late swap and whatever. But for any builds that you guys are running before lock, make sure you have at least three Lakers. Again, it's the later game, so you're going to have opportunities to switch. But I mean, three might even be too little, like, to be honest, on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I still think I'd probably go with a minimum of three. That's just me. And this might be the one night where we can see Bronny James on a winning lineup. It's possible. Do you know who's an interesting play that no one's going to play tonight? Kevin Porter Jr. is interesting on DraftKings. You'd have to use him in addition to the other value, but there's an excellent chance this game blows out, and he should be able to have a field day with the guys they're going to throw at him. He's not going to project great. He's not going to be owned at all, but Kevin Porter Jr., along with the late, for extra value, maybe you're playing 3 or 4 Lakers with him and then Giannis, and then, picking between whether it's Siakam, Bridges, Cat, however you want to go with that. That's kind of an interesting idea. I actually think that there's some teeth to this. Kevin Porter Jr. has upside here. I would take a little gamble, a little shot in the dark on it. All right, guys. I think it's probably going to be it for me. Nothing really special going on. It's kind of an ugly slate, as I mentioned. Golf started off great, has kind of faded a little bit because the afternoon wave was really struggling, and I bet on all the morning afternoon guys, but then they kind of put it together a little bit. So it's very early, obviously, for golf. So I'm going to have some lineups near the top in some of the lotteries, but we'll see about what happens in the big stuff. Where did we end up with Ben Griffin? He's like one of the few guys I was exposed to. Okay, he's +1. I'm okay with anybody +1 or +2 today. I think that then you've got plenty of room, and I think that it's probably going to be +3 or +4 tomorrow by the time it's all said and done. So again, give us a like. We appreciate it. We want to keep doing some of these videos for